All right.
Brad.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. Is it just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in?
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while.
Every now and then we'll try.
He was already here right away.
It's kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback week 1 for the Green Bay Packers?
I see.
Welcome, everyone, to a very special edition of Open Book here on Game On Wisconsin.
Eli, none of the episodes are going to be special if you intro with, it's a special episode every week.
No, this one's a special one because, you know, it's the new year. It's my first episode of my new Jewish year. Just finished up fasting for 25 hours. No better way to break your fast than talking Packers football and drinking some Gatorade. I'm probably going to be sweating throughout a lot of the show because I haven't eaten or drinking anything in the day, and I don't feel the best. How are you feeling, Jen?
Well, I hope that I'm feeling better than you at least. Yeah, I mean, my week, I'm in a different program for work, so things, adjusting, those kinds of things. But yeah, at least I've been able to eat for the last 25 hours, so things could always be worse.
Yeah, no, I mean, it is nice to hear that you switched out of your last program, which for the most part seemed to, you complain. No, I wouldn't say complain, but it was usually negative when you spoke about it on the show. So
I mean, everything I say about work is probably going to be negative, which is probably not good, but that's what happens when you work with middle schoolers who, Yeah,
well, I think anyone would probably just say that about any job. They're really not going to enjoy it because that's just what jobs are. But it is nice that you got switched out of that one because that one seemed worse. But also, as you can see, Zach is not here yet. Maybe we'll see. He might come, he might not. He's got some special stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sam is talking about salad. I remember your salad discussion with yourself a couple weeks ago.
Sam, don't come in here talking about food when Eli just talked about how he has like over a day.
I'm thinking about salad now, and I very rarely think of salad. But
you're hungry.
Yeah, but I guess a good segue to feeling very, nervous, not nervous, but just not feeling normal or good. Taking it back to Sunday when the Packers went into overtime against Bailey Zappi and the New England Patriots, literally sucking the life out of me.
Honestly, I was more nervous when I saw Hoyer went out because it kind of reminded me of Baltimore last year with Huntley, where it's like, here's this kid who nobody really knows much about, and it's like,
I don't like
Zappi's first NFL snaps, in a real regular season game, and it's just kind of like, it just feels like something bad is going to happen when you get a guy in there who, you don't really know anything about and know how he's going to work, and it made me really nervous, but there was still no excuses for why it was the way it was.
Yeah, anytime the Packers are playing a team that has a quarterback change or a coaching change, it always bugs me out because it's like, it's just you don't know what's going to happen. Even if you think all the way back to the 2010 championship game, Caleb Haney coming in, they were prepared for Jay Cutler, who was terrible the entire first half, and then Haney comes in, has a decent second half, it makes it a game. So I agree. I would have been very happy to see Brian Hoyer the whole game.
Well, he's 15th season.
Yeah, we could have stacked him.
What you're going to get with Brian Hoyer.
Yeah.
But,
and then all of a sudden this guy comes out and I'm like, the same thing. I'm like, classic Bailey Zappi is going to beat Rodgers in Lambeau and our lives are going to be ruined. And just to start off on a low note, and we'll build up. But obviously the pick six before half was maybe the most heartbroken. That's just shocking. I mean, I
it's kind of one of those things where it's like something like that literally rarely ever happens. And it's kind of just like, oh no, it's going to be one of those games. There was the fumble and then that happens. And it's just kind of like, oh bleep.
Yeah.
This is not going to be fun.
That it was just, you never see him, forget a pick six. You never even see him make a throw that interceptable. And I was just like, what is happening? Right before half, there was no need for it. They were winning. They could have went into half, 7-3, I think it would have been. Like there was no need for it, and it was really painful. But
I'm sure, yeah, a little extra more for you, but
yeah, it's one of those things where like that's it. Like once that happened, I kind of just
is that one of those moments where like your mentions blow up?
yeah.
So it's like you already know what happened, like you saw it, and now everybody's making sure you saw it.
Exactly. And it's like everyone, you obviously know, like I've posted clips of like Rodgers picking his nose. Obviously I saw him throw this pick six. So yes, I know. Yeah, literally, like I did not look at my phone for until after half. I'm like, until he throws a touchdown, I can't pick up my phone again because I will be way too upset.
Right.
But back in the second half, they looked good. They finally got rolling, and it's kind of like this. It's been like this in almost every game this year, except for week 1 maybe, and kind of a theme almost throughout LaFleur's tenure. This isn't any kind of dig at LaFleur. I mean, you know how good they've been, but the Packers seem to always, at one point of the game or another, just kind of mess up. It seems rare to see 4 quarters of just really good football, which is kind of annoying at times, but obviously a win's a win whenever you can get it. But what were like you said, it was too close. So like, what were your takeaways coming out of an extremely close game against Bailey Zappi?
I mean, I didn't want to go into this game counting out a Belichick team, obviously, because, he's the best coach in the game for a reason. And, I had certain expectations going in. I think I only predicted, a 28-20 win. So I still didn't have like a super big margin. But still, like, things were just happening that I was not expecting. And it was just, I didn't think that it was going to be a nail biter game. I didn't think that the Patriots would ever be out of it, but I definitely thought that the Packers were going to have control over this game. And it just it never really felt like it. It just made it extra tough. And, obviously we can talk about, calls, no calls, stuff like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. I forgot about
impacts on the game, but still, I mean,
okay.
A team like the Packers and then a team like the Patriots, like you shouldn't have to rely on reffing, but I mean that's a pretty bad one that we did see, and I mean it's kind of almost a game changer because it gives the Patriots momentum. But
I mean it was like, even if you want to overlook an egregiously missed delay of game resulting in a touchdown, let's just be real. I mean, how many times did that ref call the wrong team on a penalty? At least 3 or 4 times, which, I mean, it's the NFL. Like, you should know what penalties you're calling and who it's on. Like, it happened way too much. And then, that was a game-changing play. It gives them confidence. And like you said, though, to start, I mean, none of us were expecting any kind of blowout, even though if you just looked at the teams on paper, you could say that. But Bill Belichick, you're not going to just blow them out. It's just not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers said himself, forget even Bill Belichick, but in general, even in Lambeau, they don't just roll over a bunch of teams. He said maybe he brought up the Bears, obviously 42-0 at half in 2014. He brought up the Titans when they were winning like 55-0 in 2011. That was a very fun day. But like, it doesn't happen that much. And then you have Bill Belichick, and all of a sudden a new quarterback who, it was his first career snaps, but it was his first career snaps. So this defense has 0 film.
It's also, we don't know anything about him, but you also look at the team as a whole. And I honestly think, I went into this game thinking, okay, they're resting Jair, and I think that this DB room can get by without him. But then you lose Amos on top of that, and now you're down your 2 biggest leaders. And like that obviously makes an impact. You kind of start to see, okay, there's, not as much depth at safety as there is at cornerback, where, Jair goes out and there's a lot of guys who can, kind of step into those roles. But safety, it's a little bit different. We all obviously see like, what's the guy? It starts with an N.
Well, Keyshawn Nixon.
Nixon. It is Nixon. I was like, am I like thinking of the press center? Is that actually his last name? But
no, he's a corner though.
He's a corner.
I'm pretty sure he's technically a corner. I think who came in for Amos this week was Rudy Ford and who else played? Rudy Ford and
there's just no depth at that safety position. So now we're seeing Amos is the only one who didn't practice today. And
I think it was late actually. Oh yeah, Denver. Yeah, he's the only one who missed practice, and anyone else you
So,
could
I
think
mean,
of.
again, it's kind of like, yeah, they're going to go in and they're going to play the Giants. But at this point, I'm not going to underestimate any team. We have Giants, Jets, Commanders. You would think that should be, a really good 3-game stretch where this offense can really get cooking. Defense can maybe get some turnovers and get some points. But I don't know. I just feel like at this point, I can't think that these are going to be easy wins and they're going to have to go in there and earn it. And yeah, I mean, we're going to have to see someone step up in that safety position because obviously, concussion protocol is a tough one. It's not like a regular injury where you can kind of be like, does it hurt or does it not hurt? Like you have to evaluate it differently. And obviously there's stuff going on in the NFL where maybe people are going to be a little bit more cautious with that concussion. I know you kind of mentioned that before we hit record. So I don't know. It makes me nervous, but it sounds like Jair, there's a good chance he's back out there. And I think at least having one of those leaders back out there could make a difference. But yeah, I mean, I think that played a big role in it, not having either of them. So I think if you can get at least one back, that's going to make a difference for that room.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're not only probably your two most physically talented players, but in terms of being leaders of the secondary in that defense, that's exactly what Amos and Jair are. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they're both out there against the Giants in London. And like you said, this team right now, I mean, there's no game that like we could go into and just be like, we're good, especially not a London game, which is weird always.
Well, you don't know, especially after watching that Vikings Saints game. I mean,
but also
it's a completely unfamiliar stadium. You don't know anything about it except for maybe what you've seen from other film, like weather-wise, all of that stuff.
It rains a lot in London. It could be a rain game. Who knows? But
like I would like to assume that there's going to be more Packers fans and Giants fans, but you also just get, general football fans who are going to be there just making noise, and you have no idea what kind of outside impact there's going to be. So it's going to be, again, just unknown factors going into this week. And I don't know. I shouldn't be nervous, but at this point, I'm just expecting to be nervous at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah. By the way, it's going to be so early and weird. Like I'm going to have to, I'll probably be up anyway, but I'm like the classic not morning person. Like do not talk to me for at least a couple hours in the morning. So I'm going to have to wake up and immediately be surrounded by people and the game and stress. I probably just won't sleep, honestly, the night before is what's most likely going to happen. But yeah, you can't just go into this game thinking, oh, it's the Giants. In case anyone hasn't noticed, the Giants are 3-1. Obviously, I don't think people take the Giants at 3-1 as seriously as the Packers or a different 3-1 team might be. But they're 3-1. They're not an awful team. It's a weird place to play. It's a place in the over 100 years of Packer football. They've never flown this far. They've had trouble flying to California on winning games. They're flying across all the world, sort of. So
is London warm? Because then maybe I'd be a little bit more nervous. Because I mean,
London
obviously
right now should be probably like pretty chilly, I would imagine.
I'm not a weather expert. I don't know what.
Right now in London, it's like in the 50s, low 60s. It won't be hot. I was in London once in the summer, and it still wasn't hot. So
okay, that eases the tension a little bit because I mean, obviously they were able to go in and kind of break that curse in Tampa this year, but I mean, still those weather factors
I think I missed the show after that game, which is frustrating because I didn't get to relish in the Packers' 14-12 victory over the Bucs. That also nearly took the life out of me. I mean, 2 straight weeks. Like you go from Brady and then you play the Patriots, and it's like, all right, now it's not Brady and the Patriots, it's just the Patriots. Still makes you sweat. But
two tough weeks in a row. Just, I mean, that one factor where you go from Tom Brady one week and then you have Belichick another, 2 kind of game changers. You never know what they're going to pull out of their sleeves. So it was nice to, get the double win on those ones.
Just getting the wins. And I mean, I like just looking at this first month in general for this team. Obviously, they lose week 1. It was pretty ugly. But to go and win the last 3 and at no point have again, for maybe a quarter or 2 at a time, you'll feel like the Packers are playing like their style of football, but they still have not, that does not seem to be rolling as good as we know they can, which just
Honestly, what's most frustrating to me is that they played their best football in overtime.
yeah.
It's like, why did you wait till the fifth quarter to finally start cooking on offense? Like, I know you're kind of down and there's pressure, but you came out. I mean, obviously neither team scored on their first drive, so that's a big factor. But it's like that last drive to get Mason Crosby into field goal range. It's just like that was some of their best offense all game, and that's what's super frustrating is that it shouldn't have to take like the last straw. I'm sorry, Loki is being annoying as usual, but I
agree. Like, and for me, like, and I don't know, they did get away from it a little, but I don't know. Aaron Jones just seemed to be killing the Patriots defense all afternoon, and look, AJ Dillon wasn't bad. AJ Dillon wasn't bad, but I just thought that Jones was in a groove, or like, you don't want to
like Dillon wasn't getting the holes that he needed.
Yeah.
Like it was a lot of, there were obviously spurts where he was breaking through, which was awesome to see, but those were more up the middle. But when he tried to go right a lot, it seemed like there was just a lot of congestion. So, I mean, he had those up the middle drives for 8 yards getting first downs. But every time he went right, it felt like he just, maybe a yard, maybe two if he was lucky. It just, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with the line.
It just seemed like I get when you have a committee backfield, and I feel like the Packers have done this both with Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones, and then last year with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, and now this year, like it doesn't have to be full drives at a time. Like why can't Aaron Jones is in first and second, he does, and then maybe whatever, let's say it's a 10-play drive. Jones doesn't need to be on the field for all 10 plays, and then the next drive, Dillon needs to be on the field for all 7 plays, whatever it is. Like you can interchange them within plays. We all know the Packers aren't going in fast motion. They snap the ball at 1 second every time anyway. Like there were moments in the game where Dillon just really wasn't, like you said, he wasn't getting the holes or wasn't being effective. I just thought Jones, he's averaging almost 10 yards a touch. Like they kept showing, like give him the ball as many times until the defense, until they figure it out. And all afternoon, they were not figuring it out. I mean, Aaron Jones, 16 carries for 110 yards. I'm not good at math, but that's like around 8 yards a carry potentially. I don't know. I'm really not good at math, and my head hurts. But
basically, just feed Aaron Jones.
Just feed Aaron Jones. I always say it. This offense, it's you run and run and run, and then you can set up your pass and your play action. And I almost forgot about it again. The last day, football hasn't really been on my mind, so I'm like forgetting the key points of the game. But the drop, the ground knocking the ball.
I don't even know. Like, I don't want to call it a drop.
Yeah, it was more.
It's not like he dropped it. It's just like a really weird.
It's like a fumble almost.
Like an incomplete.
But for some reason, I didn't get up. I knew he was for something. Like everyone in the room jumped up, and I just sat there, and I was just like, until I see him get up,
I get excited.
Yeah, I'm not getting too excited, and then I saw him, and no, he dropped it, and it was, I didn't even have a second.
As soon as you see the ground, it's like,
I'm like one of those people who I need it to be 10 seconds after the play and no flags for me to start being happy and accepting that something good happened. So I never jump up by a touchdown. I'm waiting for the flags. That's just being a negative person.
That was my dad and I during the Mason Crosby kick. It was like, okay, wait.
Yeah.
Is there any flags? Are we good?
We have a video. I videoed it, and for a 31-yard kick. I mean, look, any game winner, you're going to get excited. But me and my brothers and my dad, we had some nerves going for that 31-yarder. I wasn't even nervous about Crosby. I was nervous about the blocking, the snapping, the hold.
Right. In Crosby we trust, but I think, a big factor in this win too, who we haven't had a chance to touch on, and I know it got mentioned in the chat, Rashawn freaking Gary.
Yes, Rashawn Gary.
Absolutely. Just set the tone, was a menace in this game, and he is really showing everybody. I mean, he has a sack in every game this year. He's just, he's absolutely insane. And, we kind of saw the breakout happening last year, but now it's just he's like, this is my team. This is my defense. I'm hungry. No quarterback is safe. Good luck stopping me. I mean, that one, he literally went untouched. Yeah. And I think that's the one that Hoyer ended up going out on.
Yeah,
so quarterbacks are going to need a lot of help to stay safe against Rashawn Gary, and I love it so much.
It's really going to impact opposing offenses. They're going to have to force tight ends to stay in and block, or running backs to try to block him, and that is very good because I always feel like the Packers have a hard time covering tight ends and running backs anyway. So having Gary there, but yeah, I mean, that hit he put on Brian Hoyer. I mean, Brian Hoyer is much too old of a man to take. I mean, Rashawn Gary, like you said, essentially untouched, just plowed through him. However, yes, that sounded.
And honestly, I think he could have hit him harder if he wanted to.
I
think that was him lighting up a little bit. So, man, Danny Dimes, good luck.
Even if they would have cleared Hoyer, I think he would have just been like, "I'm good. Let Zappy play this one out. I'm going to stay in the locker room."
Right? He probably was like, "No, my head hurts. I can't go out there. Good luck, kid."
But I was,
and then Gary introduced himself to Zappy too, which was really nice of him. You know, he's a gentleman like that.
Yeah, he's not someone who's just going to not introduce himself. He has too many manners for that. But yeah, I mean, he finished the game. Like you said, I mean, it might have been his best career game. 2.5 sacks, a forced fumble, a recovery, tackle for loss, 7 total tackles. I mean, and just unstoppable. And you were seeing how hard he was hitting, even just when he was making a tackle on the running back. He just has this ferocity about him that most people on the Packers haven't had. I feel like we see it a little bit out of Quay Walker, which is exciting. I think just Joe Barry's getting this energy out of the players. Darnell Savage on that screenplay destroyed Nelson Aguilar. A lot of energy on that play. And if Amos is going to miss any time, we hope obviously he won't. I mean, it's a concussion. Hopefully he'll be back this week. But Savage needs to step up, and he needs to step up, honestly, just for himself. Like we all know 2 years ago, he finished the season, like the last 6 games, with like 4 interceptions. He was incredible. Last year, we were waiting for the breakout. It was not exactly as we expected. So right now, it would be nice for Savage to just build up some confidence this year and have.
Which it kind of seems like he's starting to get back into that. I know a lot over this offseason on multiple platforms. I kind of talked about, Savage is in my hot seat, and I know that he can play at that elite level. It's just, he's kind of on a downward slope right now. So it's kind of nice to see him these last few weeks kind of start to get back into it. And, I don't know what has finally clicked. Maybe, it was just the transition into the Joe Barry defense that was maybe a little tough on him. Who knows? But he's kind of getting back into it, and you kind of see him more present. Obviously the Campbell tip a few weeks ago against Tampa Bay, it's like Savage was right there to make that play, even if he doesn't get that tip.
Perfect coverage,
He's kind of getting back into the swing of things, I think. And I mean, it is going to be really tough with no Amos out there if that's kind of the way that the chips fall this weekend. But I feel a little bit better just given the way that Savage has been playing the last couple weeks. So if he had still been kind of underperforming, I'd be a lot more nervous. But I mean, he's kind of getting back into his groove, and I hope that he just kind of continues to trend upwards and we get to.
Cool. Thinking about so many different foods since over the last 24 hours, like you go through these ranges, and this happens every year, but like there'll be 1 minute where you just want to like eat a donut, and then the next you want a steak, and then an hour later you want a burger. And
I was going to say, I know that you're kind of having a tough time. We want to get you to be able to go eat dinner. So why don't we just do like a quick London preview, and then you can go eat so that I don't have to see anything happen to you on screen.
I feel like you're definitely more nervous at that than it happened.
I think I have some PTSD, but
that's fair. That's on me. But so London preview. Obviously, Packers playing the Giants this week. 8:30.
Hear them.
Wait, 6:30? Isn't it 8:30? But
it's 8:30 for us in Central Time. 6:30 for people like Zach.
Zach's gonna have it at 6:30. That's rough. 8:30 Lambeau time, 9:30 Eastern time. Kind of gross time zone to live by.
So basically, I mean, like Bloody Marys and football and
that, by the way, like I'm thinking in my head, like, does that justify like an 8 o'clock beer? Yes, it does for sure. But Jen, so looking at this Giants team, they come in 3-1. but they haven't played the best competition.
Giants are 3-1 too.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird league right now. I think 3 teams in the NFC East are 3-1.
That is really interesting.
Because that's usually the worst division in football. But yeah, the Giants are 3-1.
They're the best of the worst.
Yeah. Daniel Jones is coming off of ankle injury. He missed, I believe, the second half of last week's game, but he was practicing. I would imagine the Packers are going to prepare for Daniel Jones to be playing in this game. But yeah, what are your thoughts going into it, playing in London and facing this Giants team? And probably biggest concern would be Saquon Barkley.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's the guy that's on my mind. Obviously, Saquon, it doesn't seem like he's a very consistent player, but you also have to kind of look at, there's not much help around him. But I mean, he's still Saquon Barkley. And I was thinking, like, right before the show, I was thinking it's like, oh man, we get AJ Dillon and Saquon Barkley, like the battle of the quads.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. So, but I mean, this run defense has caused me to age like 40 years over the last few weeks. So playing someone like Saquon after, obviously Dalvin Cook week 1, then David Montgomery, and then who's it, Stevens or whoever, like Leonard Fournette, and then Stevenson. And it's like, I just, now you're going to be playing Saquon Barkley. And I mean, there needs to be drastic changes because Daniel Jones isn't like, he's still an NFL quarterback. He still knows how to do things. And if he's given enough time, who knows? I'd like to think that this defense is going to get enough pressure on him. But I mean, if you don't stop Saquon, they're just going to Saquon he'll destroy us if we don't figure out how to stop the run. And that's kind of the biggest X factor. And I think it's kind of an obvious one at this point, but it's still, I mean,
it's not only that it's been so easy for runners. It's literally no one's even getting close to making contact. Forget behind the line of scrimmage, but even at the line of scrimmage. And it's so weird considering you have Kenny Clark and you have, you have Dean Lowry and you have Jerron Reed you signed and you drafted Devontae Wyatt and then you have Gary and Preston Smith on the edges and Campbell and Walker in the middle. Like, of all the parts of this defense, I mean, we were very confident in the secondary, and yet we were maybe even more confident somehow in the run defense because of how the personnel we had there is better than it's been in many years. And then, last week, Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson essentially did whatever they wanted. They averaged 4.8 and 4.7 yards per carry, respectively. They actually did a decent job on Fournette, but we know that Dalvin Cook had a good game against them. Montgomery had a very good game against them. They cannot allow Saquon to get going because he is better than probably anyone we've played this year, maybe except Dalvin Cook, depending on how healthy they are. But Saquon's honestly probably better than Dalvin Cook at 100%. They need a plan. Obviously, like you said, you can't have Daniel Jones not part of the game plan, but your game plan needs to be Saquon Barkley is not winning the Giants this game. Daniel Jones, you need to win the game.
You need to make Daniel Jones throw.
Yeah, you need to make him be a quarterback, and you need to make him win the game. And if he does, I think they'll lose because we'll pick him off, like, what usually happens when Daniel Jones has to win the game. If they're controlling the clock with Saquon and he's averaging 5 yards a carry, it could be a very, very stressful morning.
Yeah. Well, do we want to get into our game predictions? Because I can tell we're losing you a little bit here.
Let's do that. So, again, very early morning game. It'll be interesting to see how they start. But, Jen, what's your prediction here? Packers, Giants, London.
I'm going to say across the pond, Packers get the win, 31-17. I think that, this is the week that things need to break through. Defense is going to pick it up. Offense it needs to be the week that offense starts clicking. And now that we've kind of seen, Dobbs getting more involved and Watson getting more involved and all the receivers kind of doing what we thought they were going to do, where it's going to be really spread out and you're going to get Tonyan involved and basically every pass catcher involved. This needs to be the week that everything, just full throttle, keep driving, all gas, no brakes. It's the Giants, and I'm sick of not going in and playing teams that we should be destroying like we should have last week. Going into like overtime or final drives. Like it can't keep happening. This has to be the week and then set the tone for the next few weeks going into what should also be easier matchups. I'm also going to give the Packers a win. I'm going to be a bit more conservative because
this was a home game, maybe I would agree that this is the game everything comes together, but the travel scares me a little. So I'll go, it's going to be weird, probably, it's London. Go like 26-17. But yeah, like you said, I mean, the Packers they can't, and we always say it, but play down to their competition, or even if it's not playing down, but just do what has clearly worked. And we always say it, but that's run the football and then use play action, just do things that, number one, have worked in the past. And then during the game, if it's working, you can keep doing it. Like, I feel like so many times things are working, and then the run game's working, boom, we'll do three straight passes, 3 and out. Makes no sense to me.
Well, it's like for the love of all that is holy, win the turnover game. Quit playing the line, like quit dancing the line of like, oh, you got a turnover, now we'll get a turnover.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's
and then
not the way Packers play.
We're gonna turn it over, and then we're gonna have zero momentum the rest of the game. Like, that is not a good game plan. Figure it out.
Yeah, they can't be turning the ball over.
You're gonna lose to teams like the Giants and the Jets and the Commanders. So
yeah, and
that's
letting
gonna be
one
the
play, turning the ball over, or letting one bad play or weird play, let's say like the missed delay game. Like the Packers, we've seen one weird play or bad play kind of has messed with their momentum. You can't do that in a 17-game season, and then you're expecting the playoffs. Like you're going to have a weird fumble, or even 4 times out of over 7,000 pass attempts, Aaron Rodgers threw a pick 6. It was mind-blowing, but yeah, you have to come back and play the game and win. And you're playing the Giants right now. They're 3-1, but we all know who they are. They're the Giants. They are who they thought they were. Kevin Green, RIP. I think that's his name. I hope I didn't just mess up his name. He's out. Oh no, I'm gonna stop talking about him completely. But RIP anyway. But yeah, we both have the Packers beating the Giants. It's gonna be cool in London. Everyone, if you're going, number one, that's awesome. Enjoy that. But everyone for watching, whether you're in Lambeau time, Eastern time, California time, wake up early. I think it was Chris who asked, but yes, everyone shotgun some beers to start your day. Have a good time watching it. And yeah, Packers will see you after the London week.
What you think, Fred? All right.
Brad.
Like, dude, you're an idiot.
I'm doing very well, Jen. It's just going to be me and you, or Eli and Zach going to pop in.
Yeah, they'll talk every once in a while. But
Every now and then we'll kind of.
he was already here
It happened
right away.
It kind of, well, we're used to you attacking us, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Look at
Let's just put it this way. Who do you see as the quarterback